And now we get to the part that most of you came for. You really didn't come to the business meeting, I think. So today we're going to hear stories from a time that is fast fading from our conscious memory. We have written records, as you would note on the table outside, in book form. But many of those who have lived through this time no longer are with us. So we're very fortunate today to be able to hear from those that did live it, some who served and others who were spouses of those who served. And we know that this was a challenging time. Even for those that did not serve, it was difficult with rationing, shortage of food, gas rationing, blackouts, those type of things. In our family, my father-in-law, Alan Snyder, some of you probably know, or would have known, served in CPS from 1943 to 46. And one of the treasures we have is that he faithfully wrote home every week. And his wife Iva saved every one of those letters, which we now have. And so it's very interesting to read about life in the camp, because he spoke about the nitty-gritty of some arguments with some Adventist folks that were in the camp. They didn't see eye to eye. So there's a few of those discussions. He wrote about mailing a tire home to be recapped in the family recapping tire store here in Oregon. He wrote about working on a fence around the Sequoia National Park, around the General Sherman tree, which if any of you go to visit, the largest tree, you would see that. And he wrote about working on a dairy farm in California. Today we plan to hear more stories like that. And our moderator for this panel discussion is Ruth Goertzen. Gordon grew up in California, attending a Mennonite Brethren church. In 1971, he moved to Oregon and attended the Kingwood Mennonite Brethren Church. He's a graduate of Silverton High School and Multnomah Bible School, and he lives south of Camden. His son John is on our board. We're very grateful for his participation in the board, and we're grateful for Gordon's willingness to lead this discussion today. So at this time, I'd like to invite him forward, and he'll introduce the panel members and we'll into the interview part of the program.
Thank you, Lynn. I would like Earl Kenagy and Ruth Goertzen and Sterling Roth to take some places over here.
I'm going down there in case something goes wrong with the sound, okay?
Sorry about that. We intend for this to be exciting and memorable, but that's not what we have in mind. You want me to start talking? I'll give you a cue here in a minute. All right. Often people are noteworthy for what they have done. However, today we are assembled to take note of individuals for what they did not do. During a time of war, their conscience would not permit them to participate in military service. By not taking up arms, they followed the traditional Anabaptist application of Christ's words found in Matthew 5:44, love your enemies. Jesus goes on to say, pray for those that abuse you. it is hard to fold your hands in prayer with your finger on the trigger of the gun. CPS was an opportunity for individuals to serve according to their conscience. CPS stands for Civilian Public Service. And it encompassed, in our framework, in our way of thinking, in our experience, a large group of people. There was a show of hands at lunch today for how many were here that were actually part of CPS. But I would like a raise of hands, a show of hands for those whose fathers, or if they themselves were in CPS, to raise their hands. And I dare say that even those of you that didn't raise your hand have some association with people from CPS, firsthand or otherwise. And it's really quite interesting, the numbers involved. During World War II, 34,506,923 individuals registered for the draft. Only 72,354 applied for CO status, conscientious objector. 25,000 accepted non-combatant service. 27,000 failed the basic physical exam. 6,086 were imprisoned for refusal to participate at all. Of those, it should be noted, 4,441 of those were Jehovah's Witnesses. 11,996 served in CPS, Civilian Public Service. And these three would represent some of those. And in having this time today, I want us to note that to put their anxiousness at ease, this is not a test. We want them to recall memories. And as memories go, memory fades. Names may not be right at hand, nor places or dates, and that's okay. Together, collectively, we want to hear what you remember and what was important about your experiences. And again, they're just a representation of the individuals involved. I believe most of them have already passed from the scene, and that's sad. But it's important that we remember. And it's important that we remember, not because of the individuals, but because of the commitment to Christ's words that they represent. Love your enemies. I'd like to introduce Earl Kenagy. I just met him a few moments ago. I had never met him previous to this. And may I call you Earl? And I understand that Earl was in CPS with my mom's brother, Ben Warkentine. And then we have Sterling Roth. May I call you Sterling? I've known Sterling for nearly 20 years now. He was in CPS with my dad's brother. And then Ruth Goertzen. May I call you Mom? My father was in CPS, and I will let them take the story from here. I'll have some questions for them as we go along, and you're to listen in. Okay, I'm going to start with Earl. Can you tell me when you were born and where, and then where you served and when in CPS?
Born on October 6th, 1925. Is this on? Is there anything? I think it's on. Give me a microphone. Louisville, Alberta, Canada. And that screwed my whole life's history up. If you want to get into trouble, be born out in another country. It's still working against me. We had, my family had moved to Canada to follow the harvest. My uncle and my dad bought trash machine, a couple of steam engines, followed the harvest. They did that for 4 or 5 years. Coming back to Oregon in between sometimes not. And one of the times they stayed here, one of the times I was born. So we moved away from there, and soon after I was born, and 2 brothers were born there, Ken and Mike. And then we moved back here and bought the farm that it's been in, what was the old coffee farm. It's been in the Kenagy family ever since. I don't know where to go from there.
Where were you in CPS and when?
In CPS,
Where and when?
I went to CPS at Elton, Montana, in Glacier National Park in 1944, and served for 3 years. I think it was 3 years. In the meantime, from there I went to the Smoke Jumpers, and then went to Florida to Hookworm Control, and then from there I went to Cattle. So I rounded out my life. I made up my mind I was going to travel all I could while I was being padded up anyway.
Okay, and we're going to have Earl talk some more about the cattle boat situation a little later on, because that's something that's unique to you're unique and the 3 of you in that. But the cattle boat was quite the project, and that was something in addition to CPS.
Yes. Yes.
Well, yes, Earl, we'll have him talk some more about that in a little bit, and he'll have some slides for us concerning that as well. Sterling?
They tell me I was born March 10th, 1927. I just don't remember that. That I was born in Albany, Oregon. Both were Sterling Roth. And I lived around Albany, and the day I had registered as a CO and the war ended, I said, whoop-ee, I won't have to go now. And the next day I got my notice to leave. And I had chose Belton. They said you can choose where you want to go, but they sent me to Downey where I didn't want to go, Downey, Idaho. So that's part of life. You don't always get to do what you want to do. I lived on the farm. When I got drafted, I was just a farm boy. Robert Jensen and I was farm boys. Never been away from home very much. I still remember when they my folks put me on the train to go. I remember seeing my folks out there. You know, I couldn't quite figure out why they was disturbed they was, but I can understand it better now. And they put Robert Jensen and I in with a train to go to the soldiers. The train, just 2 CO boys with a train to go to the soldiers. Needless to say, we was scared boys just to be stuck in that way. We got to Downey, Idaho. Well, on the way to Downey, Idaho, it was on the train, and it was hot, and they opened the windows, and we had coal dust all over us. And we got to Downey, Idaho, and one of the soldiers said, well, God must have made that country, but must have forgot about it. It was very dry. He dumped us out, no lights, like you see today. And we got out, and what do we do now? He dumped us out in the sagebrush. Well, we looked around for a while, and there was a government truck down the road a ways, and we went over there, and the fellows had come to get us were sleeping. And we woke them up, of course, and they took us to camp. Is that about as far as we're going now?
That's fine, we'll go a little farther down the road in a minute.
Then from Idaho, that was a farm reclamation area. They was building a dams, but I don't know what they did with me. They put me in the kitchen to serve and to wash dishes and peel potatoes. And then pretty soon they had me purchase the food for them. If I remember right, I was allowed to spend 27 cents a day for food for the boys. And a lot of the women from the churches did furnish some canned fruit for us. I remember one thing we would laugh about. The cherries that come from the East Coast was so little, we used to laugh about them because ours was so different. And then when we'd have meat, it was so scarce that they'd make stew out of it. By the time we got around to it, you may not have any meat. Well, when that camp closed, they sent me to Camina, California. I was there a couple of weeks and they sent me to a side camp, Forest Hill. That would be, if I get my directions right, that would be a little north and east of Sacramento. I served there, and then they decided that I needed to go another place, so I went to Roseburg, Oregon, took care of mental patients. I remember one of the saddest situations I seen while I was there was a 19-year-old boy. Of course, we didn't have that kind of medication then. Tied to a post, and they couldn't keep clothes on him. I thought, oh, what a waste. But I spent a lot of time with these fellas. But one thing about a COs taking care of mental patients, it changed the whole system of caring for mental patients in the United States. They offered me a good job if I'd stay, but I didn't want to spend my time doing that kind of work. And then a little farther, maybe you want to come back.
We'll come back. Yeah, thank you, Sterling.
Yeah, I think that's as far as I would have.
And Sterling has opened up a number of boxes here that we might want to explore a little bit later. Mom?
My story is going to be a little different because I was only alive. And I have to write down everything because I'm, being an old lady. I'm Ruth Goertzen, Fleischman. I was born in Dallas, Oregon, August 24th, 1921. My parents were Elizabeth and Henry Borkentine. I was just 4 years old when we moved to California. My father got a job at a country school with his work was to be a bus driver, a yard man, maintenance, everything else. We lived on the schoolyard, which was 3 miles west of Shafter. My parents had been members of the Dallas Mennonite Brethren Church. So when we moved to Shafter, we transferred to Shafter Mennonite Brethren. Growing up attending the MB Church in Shafter, there were many youth activities, and at the age of 14, I was baptized and joined the MB Church in Shafter. Oh, I don't know where. Also, members of the Mennonite Church in Shafter was a family by the name of Goertzen. Included in that bunch was their son named Adolf. Adolf and I we were friends, and finally that turned out to be a marriage. We were married January 1942. Life with Adolf was very special. His father died from a heart attack before we were married. His mother, my mother-in-law, was the best. Adolf registered for the draft as a conscious objector. After being in a small town in a church, Shafter Church, it was a small town and the largest church in Shafter, so there were a lot of Mennonites there, so they knew all about being drafted, and so it wasn't a problem to them. So Adolf was drafted in 1942. He boarded the train in Shafter, and am I going too far?
You're fine.
He boarded the train in Shafter and on to Sacramento. Someone met the train to take him to Camp Snowline. That was 60 miles east of Sacramento. Camp Snowline had been a CCC camp that the government had closed. The report from the Army was that the camp was available and in good condition. They had lots of things that were really usable there. There were 146 men who came to Camp Snowline. 89 were Mennonites. 57 were non-Mennonites. There were Pentecostal, Baptist, Catholic, Friends, Methodist, Full Gospel, Jehovah's Witness.
That's it.
Full Gospel, Lutheran, and someone non-affiliated. The Mennonites, non-Mennonites found at the CPS camp found it difficult to understand each other. In a case in point where they were moved to the CC camp and they were supposed to do pruning for the farmers nearby, and also they didn't think it was national importance. Some of the non-Mennonites. But on the other hand, the men did not realize that it was necessary to have a large amount of manpower in that area because of being in the forest. And that's it, Cordy.
Okay. Thanks, Mom. A couple things I'll mention here. Mom mentioned of national importance. And the CPS program was supposed to be an opportunity for the men that were conscientious objectors to do activities of national importance. And what was important to one person was not necessarily of significance to another. And so that was always a point of conflict. I shouldn't say always, that was often a point of conflict. One other thing that Mom failed to mention, and I wondered whether you would say this or not, they announced their engagement on December 6th, 1941. Pearl Harbor was December 7th. As I remember from hearing from you and Dad, you had planned a June wedding the following year. Well, because of the war, that got pushed up to January 4th. So they were married just less than a month after they announced their engagement. Where did I get that? I made that up last night. It made for a better story. Some other things I'd like to ask all three of you, and any one of you can answer this, and all three can if you wish. When you got to camp, and Mom, your situation would be different, and I want to say that these two gentlemen were single and available during the war, okay? But no, Mom was definitely married to Dad. What were your living arrangements? Well, Mom, you can start. Yeah, what was your living situation?
Well, I live in Sacramento,
So you lived in Sacramento, and Dad was how far away?
60 miles.
60 miles. And 60 miles at that time was a considerable distance. Yeah, and when you lived in Sacramento, did you live with a family or
With wives.
with some wives that also had husbands in CPS? Okay, were they also at Camino? At Snowline? Okay. Earl or Sterling?
Well, in Idaho and California, was indoors, one in Idaho. When it got cold, sometimes the doors would blow open, and it was so cold, sometimes it warmed the backside of it, and then you turn around and go on the side, front side, you get to the side. It's that kind of heated system.
What was your heating?
Cold, big cold.
Cold.
Things. California, the living was better. In Roseburg, Oregon, they partitioned off a room off the mental hospital next to the patients. We hear them at night, things like that. We had our beds there.
Okay. Earl? Your living situation?
Living situation in
Mhm.
camp,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
we're pretty much in the dormitory.
Okay. And so how many men were there in a room? Typically.
We had about 40 or 50 to vary from time to time.
Okay.
In the dormitory, we had 6 dormitories.
6. That's quite a few men. So, and
It was pretty bad.
the heating was also bad. Yeah.
Our
I think that was common.
most dreaded meal was ground up leftover oatmeal and pancakes, ground together and heated up into a big hat. Nobody ate it.
But if nobody ate it, then there were plenty to go around.
There was plenty
Plenty to go around.
I don't have about 3 or 4 times. Everybody was glad to go out on the lunch program, on the work project program, but fairly lunch along with meat and cheese and peanut butter sandwich and some coffee. And that was our lunch. The lunch was much better than breakfast or dinner.
Very good. Well, I'm curious from all 3 of you, did you feel like you had enough to eat?
Well, we stayed alive.
You stayed alive. Sterling?
Well, we didn't have choice food, but I felt like we had enough to exist on. I was going to say another thing about the heating arrangement in that dorm. They give us such heavy blankets you can hardly breathe after you go. But then when it's so cold,
Okay, just almost suffocate. Yeah. Now, Mom, your living arrangement when Dad was in a dairy unit was different.
First, when I was living in Sacramento, I was working in the dental office.
Okay.
Okay, what?
So yeah, so you were working in a dental office when you were in Sacramento, and Dad was at Snowline outside of Camino. But then after that, he went to a dairy unit.
In late January, plans had been nearly completed for a 60-day experimental program, which the CPS, objector plan, was to see if they could get the dairy people involved in this and for detached service. And so Dad thought he'd like to do that. So he got a job. And he was sent to Tracy. Or Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy, California.
Tracy, California. That's about 60 miles south of San Francisco, Sacramento. It was Ree's Dairy, a dairy farm with 80 to 95 milk cows. About 50 feet from the milking farm was a building which had been used by previous help and now could be used by, I could go and live there. So that's what I did. I wanted to live there, and so the building wasn't too bad. It well, it was the building in the middle was about 12 by whatever, I don't know, about 12, a little long, narrow road.
Yeah, 12 feet wide by about 40 feet long?
I said, well, no, that's
Too
too big.
big, 40, 30. Okay.
And on either end there was two rooms, one room here, one room here, so we had one room. And the other side was taken up by Leonard Weavy,
Okay.
another CPS.
And he was a single man.
Yes.
So you have a newly married couple sharing a 30 by 12 foot room with a single guy on the other end. No, it wasn't very private. Now, we were talking about meals just a moment ago.
Wait,
Oh,
okay.
yes, go ahead.
So I had a lot of room for myself to fix meals and cook a meal on them too, but it was a wood burning stove
Okay.
in the little house in the back, out of the house. So that's
We're, okay. I think this is my son. Yeah.
waving my head too much.
No, you're fine. Speak to them. I've heard most of this. So, but as I understand, the dairy units, the dairy farm owners or operators supply the meals for the men, is that right?
That's right, that's right.
Okay.
So the men went to the house to have their meals. So I had the kitchen and whatever there was for myself. The boys worked 365 days without a day in between. The government and dairyman would, the owner would pay the government the money. How much, we don't know. And the boys, my husband and the other fellow, got $25 a month from the local church. But I had a job at the dental assistant of town. So that's it. Oh. And then I enjoyed my work, but I didn't work very long because our beautiful daughter arrived 7 months later. Kathy was born. And so I went to Shafter. I guess I went to Shafter.
So now there were 4 in that 30 by 12 room. Yeah. And as far as the compensation, I understand the arrangement would have been the same in the mental hospital, the Sterling mentioned, that the men received wages but didn't actually receive them. The wages were paid to the government, which went into a separate fund, and that was held until the end of the war, and then the fund went into the, I think it was the general accounting for the U.S. government. Is that how you understand it?
I'm not sure that all churches supply their men with checks.
And that was different, because what the churches supplied, the men got. But I'm just saying, the wages they would have received for their work, that went actually to the
But
government.
I think it was $25 a month from our local church.
And I think $25 a month actually was pretty good at that time.
It's good for us.
Yeah. Well, Sterling and Earl, what did you receive as far as compensation during your time in CPS?
I received $5 a month until I got to Roseburg. My wages doubled, about $10.
Yeah. $5 a month? Okay. Okay, so Earl and Sterling were both saying they got $5 a month, and that was supplied by the churches. And yes, and as I understand it, my dad also got $5 a month to begin with, and then the dairy situation changed that. Now, for the mental hospital, though, didn't you receive some wages in addition that you actually received, or did that all go
I
together?
received $10 a month.
That was it, okay. It's been brought up a couple times here as far as travel. What was your experience traveling to CPS when you started, and then also traveling while you were in CPS? I'm talking to all three of you, Earl, but go ahead.
I traveled to camp by train.
Had you ever been on a train before?
Not really,
Okay.
on and off now, but not traveling.
Yeah, I'll interrupt you again. How far had you been from the home previous to going to CPS?
Probably 200 miles
Okay.
up in Washington.
Okay. So by train, and then Sterling?
That was my first train ride, was when I went to camp, and then I did ride the bus sometimes.
Okay, in camp.
In between.
Well, I mean, while you were at camp. Okay, and Mom, you were saying you went by train, or Dad went by
He
train?
yes, he went by train, but when he was in camp, and any of the fellows wanted to go into Sacramento to do what they wanted to do, there was one fellow that they liked to go to especially, with him especially, he had a car also, but it wasn't a very good condition, but it didn't matter, because if they all got in trouble with someplace on the road, he'd just reach into his back pocket and pull out a piece of wire and fix whatever was wrong. And they knew they would get to Sacramento.
Earl, I cut you off a bit. I did want to know, while you were in CPS, how did you travel about?
Most of my car, or private car, a certain amount of inmates had cars. And
Okay. Now, there was gas rationing. Was that an issue?
Sometimes
Okay. So how did you get around that, or you just didn't go?
we pooled cars a lot.
Okay.
We didn't have cars, pooled cars with those who did.
Okay.
It was tough.
Well, now, in your traveling about, and this is the question for all three of you, did you ever feel intimidated or afraid by the people you encountered if they knew that you were COs?
I got a couple of situations on the train. Run-ins with soldiers who wanted to argue with people and stuff. Kind of difficult to get out of sometimes.
Did you feel like you were in any physical danger?
Like I was like,
If you were in any physical danger?
yeah, sort of, yeah.
Now, Sterling, your experience, you along with another CO were in a train on your way to your assignment, and you found yourself surrounded by soldiers. And you said that was a little bit unnerving. How did you handle that situation?
Just stuck with it.
Yeah.
There was two of us, we had to hang together, but the train was so full a lot of times that you'd have to sit on your suitcases if it was that full.
Yeah. I have a related question from my mom, and this is one I've never asked. Dad's name was Adolf. Was that a problem in World War II?
I thought these always loved it, it didn't matter.
Who are some of the memorable people in CO? In CPS?
I was impressed by some of the Amish camp. We had one big Amish cook. He was kind of protector of everybody around him. He protected me one time when I looked between his legs, and there was a barrier over his mouth open about that wide. And he was just getting ready to kick the bear. And I said, "Oh, don't do that," and he made me mad. And she made a gun about that time, the bear, and sent two cubs running up the hill. I ran up the hill behind him and jumped up on a big rock, and the big bear was right behind me. And she got to where the rock was, but she turned and went the other way and made a run, and the two cubs ran down over the hill. This big Amishman was standing on the guy behind the chest for all, standing on his feet so he couldn't move. He said to wait till she got out of the way, and then we went on our way. And that was the beginning of a weekend that we went from one side camp to another. It was about 10 miles to walk over, went up and crossed over a pass to the other town and the next one over. And then we stayed overnight on Saturday night and Sunday when we walked back home. We left about 11 o'clock, and we moved a long walk. We were going home and on our way, and what we came about 10 or 12 miles. But when we got home, we found out we had walked 52 miles on the way to get home. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and the only way that you could see the trail was to look at the top of the trees. We had 4 miles from the river up to our camp. And there was no way to see sideways. You could look at the top of the trees and see where the opening was and walk there. And as a result of that, I got appendicitis attack and had to go back to camp. Of course, I had to walk. There's no way to get there other than that. I got to the river. I wasn't going to walk all the way back to camp. It was 12 more miles. And so I took off my shoes and carried them across. And the highway was right across the river. I waded across the river and waited for somebody from camp to come get me. And wound up with appendicitis operation. They said I could come home for it. My parents paid for it. I came home for a couple of weeks and had my appendix out. I think they let me have 12 days. I had to go back to work.
12 days. Now, that does bring up another question. We already talked a little bit about financial compensation and a bit about food. But medical care, how is that provided within the CPS service according to you?
Special care?
Yeah, according to your experience.
My parents paid for it. They paid for it. They arranged an operation at the Silver Hospital. I was there almost 3 days, and I came home and was at church on Sunday, and they wanted to go to church. And have you been in the hospital? I said, well, that's over with now.
They built out a tough stuff, right?
But I didn't go back to site camp anymore. They didn't want to get that far out.
Okay. Sterling, it looks like you have a comment.
In Idaho, John and Jonas Morris was there. Some of you would know them. I think John was the cook. In the morning, to get the guys up, we had a thing we found outside. But us boys, we had a great big console radio. And we turned that thing wide open. And as the Blackwood brothers say, give the world a smile each day. We just turned that wide open. To shake the fellas up a little bit. And then, of course, Pete Goertzen and site camp, he was a cook there. I'll tell you one of him. Is that all right?
That would be my dad's brother.
One day, they ordered me to go out on a job and didn't tell him until it was time to leave. He was supposed to make my lunch. He was so upset, he just slammed some things together. They took me out in the mountains there someplace, and I thought, here we heard a Model A car. Took off the road. What is this? And he brought me a feast. Felt so bad for the way he watched it. Of course, we was boys.
So contrition does have its benefits to the offended party.
Pardon?
Contrition does have its benefits for the offended party in some instances. Okay. I am looking at the time, And we are running, and there are dozens of questions I would have yet. And I'm certain that all of us have a number of questions. Something that I don't want to lose sight of, and we really don't have much time left, is Earl needs to speak to us a bit about the Heifer Project. And I know he has some slides for that. And just before we get to that, I want to make a couple comments about the work that CPS did with the mental health facilities, the mental hospitals. Sterling, can you tell us just a bit about what changed?
Well, I worked on, I'll put this, Ward 5 for a while. That was the hospital board. That was the fellows that was sick. I mean, besides mentally sick. I remember one fellow I had to specialize, and I had to sit beside him. He was so weak he couldn't get up and leave the bedroom until he had one of his fits. Then it'd take about 3 men to tie him down. About that time, they wanted to kill me, so they had me go leave the room so they could quiet him down. But I helped give shock treatments. And if you've ever seen that, some people just, we had one fellow just passed out when he was watching the shock treatments. I guess they get some of them now, probably not as harsh as they did then. They don't get shock treatments. They said that there was about 600 men in that hospital, and they said 2/3 of them was there because of venereal diseases. I thought that was kind of a sad picture. But they also had people with malaria that we had to take care of. And one board I worked on, it was kind of between the work board and the file board. Trying to get somebody kind of violent. I got beat up one time. Pretty good. But, and I had one fellow I thought was very interesting. He couldn't talk, he wouldn't talk, never said a word. His brother came in and I talked to him to go and sit beside him. And then when I got my release, he found it out. He had me come behind the door with him. Then he could talk. He told me, he says, I don't blame you for going, but I hate to see you leave.
Yes.
So there were things there that they didn't always show.
Yeah. The mental health changes that were made under CPS became what was known as the Mental Hygiene Program, and then later National Mental Health Foundation. And that has made a change in what is done nationally. By the end of the war, 1 in 6 CPSers had worked in a mental health hospital. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, there are a number of stories to be told about that. And concerning the end of CPS, before we get to Earl's comments on the Heifer Project, when they were released from service, I think everybody's experience was unique concerning being released and what they had to share as far as how they were received back in their home communities and what they dealt with concerning their families. I just want to know briefly, in your families, did you have members of your immediate family that went into the service, in military service? Earl, did you, any one of the three? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, did you have any member of your immediate family that went into military service?
My immediate family,
Yeah.
I had a brother who went to down in Idaho. Service there.
What, in military service, though?
No,
In
military.
In military service?
Yes, I had a brother who went to military service.
Okay. Did that create some ongoing conflict in your household?
In the hospital, no.
Okay. Sterling?
No. I was the oldest one in the residence.
So the rest were too young? Yeah. And Mom? You had some mixed things on. I'm thinking of Waldo.
My brother-in-law went to Washington DC, a detached
Oh,
service.
detached service, that was John, and then there was Waldo, which would be a brother-in-law, and he went in the military service. How was that handled at home for family
I don't know,
get-togethers?
we're glad to be home, that we didn't enter, make too many movements there, just leave it alone, and it's okay.
Yeah, but you were glad to be home together.
That's right.
Yeah, I understand. Earl, share a bit about the Heifer Project. We just have a few minutes, and I'd like to see your slides also.
Slides. Can I do that now? Don't have very many.
Yeah.
When I left the smoke jumper program, I wanted to get the most for my bang for my buck, so I signed up to go to Florida, getting a long ride out of it. And it was a Forest Service program. Their thing they did is they sent all the smoke jumpers that were going out of the program, they had to send them to another base camp or something themselves. And so I went to Florida because it's the farthest place to go to school. And the hookworm control project down there. I don't know if you know anything about the hookworm, what it does or not. It's very, very serious in Florida. And to help control it, it had a unit down there that built privies, built hundreds of privies around the different counties and set them up. And from there, I had a chance to go into the Heifer Project and deliver horses. This is the cattle boat, and this was the Frederick C. Howe was the name of the ship. He says it on there, I think. Yeah, it's backwards. Anyway, we had 770 horses on here, and 23 cowboys to take care of them. They call these cowboys all over their horse boys. Go to the next picture. The horses were in the holes down below. They had 3 different holes that the horses were in, and they tied them in the stalls and fed them there and kept them there for the entire trip. On the next one. The horses were lined up so that their heads bypassed each other on different sides of the aisle. The heads would reach across the aisle, and to feed the horses, we'd have to walk between the heads and push one head one way, one the other, and go down the aisle and feed them their hay, their oats, and give them water. And well, the next one. Throwing some baled hay. We stored the baled hay on the ship, on the deck, and then drop it down the hole and feed them twice a day. The next one. This was the ship's crew. The conscientious objectors that were on there. I think I'm the third one in from the end, kneeling down there in front of the guy in the long white shirt. Got the black hair part in the middle. I think that's me, but I'm not even sure of that. No matter, I'm one of those. This was the colt that was born, and we managed to saved that one, I believe. But we had, I think 27 that died of shipping fever. They would get shipping fever in their chest, just simply from traveling all the time, from moving all the time, not being able to walk at all. And eventually they would die. And then when they died, they went over, this is the way they went overboard. The ship's crew would hoist them out and cut the rope and drop them in, and the sea would take care of them. We had 27 die on the way. And the other ship ahead of us had up to 120 die. This is the Kiel Canal in northern Germany. We went through the English Channel and went through the English customs, and then on through the Kiel Canal that cuts off about 400 miles of travel. Instead of going around, we go through the North Sea, past Denmark, we go through northern, go to the next one, through the Kiel Canal, and this is another through the countryside there. This is a way they got the roads across the ferry, the canal. This is a bridge for the traffic to go across. The ferry already go up. They carry that thing in the middle there. That white thing is the thing where they carry the boats on it. It's just a capsule that the cars drive onto, and they haul them across with that cable from the bridge. That's the way they get them across the canal. They go on to the next. This is some more going through the canal. When we got out to the end of the Kiel Canal, they had found some ships in there, and there were 2 ships laying on the side in the harbor there. They were during the war, and they hadn't gotten out of the way yet. I thought I had pictures of them, but somebody of the armor there. I think they won more. Here's the way we got them out and on to the ship. You hoist them up on the cables and let them down inside. And this is stacking the hay. They had to haul the hay over for them too. They stacked them up there, and they had huge stacks of hay, the biggest stacks of hay I've ever seen. And they stacked them up there by hand. And in some cases, they had the women stacking the hay because there was too little help with men to stack it, so they put the women out there to stack the hay, big bales of hay. There's an UNRWA stamp, United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation stamp that they run around there. And some of these horses were right off the plains of Texas, wild horses. They went out and captured them and loaded them on the ship. And when they turned loose, they had a real fight on their hands. Rush down the deck, the dock. They'd have to chase them down and catch them. Here's some of them waiting in there for the farmers to come in to get them. Sorry to say, many of them, probably half of them, ended up as food. They were starving to death, so rather than try to work the horses, they just killed them and ate them to stay alive, which you couldn't blame them for that. And this is part of Warsaw. It was bombed out by the Russians in a 24-hour period. The city was just leveled. You walk by a building, you think there was something there, and you look inside, and it would all just be rubble. And this is a store presenting their wares under that tarp with some of the goods in the store, trying to hold business there. That's a picture of me right in that little thing. 3 guys together there, and I'm looking this way. In downtown Warsaw. And this goes into a whole new story that I'd like to tell you if you've got the time. How much time would you have? Her name was Inga Helwig. And she had, one of the cattlemen that went over there had made 3 trips already, and he was getting ready to come on his 4th. And he had met her there and taken her food on the second 2 trips he went. And they became engaged. And he was fixing to get married to her. And which they later did. And you want me to quit now? This is a fantastic story. I never heard of it. But he was coming on his, when we came back from this trip, right, he was on his way over for his 4th trip. And he made 6 trips, I believe. But I think he was on his way over for his 4th trip. And they were making arrangements to get married when he come back again. And meanwhile, he had gone off enough that I gave him a foreman's shop, a foreman over the cattleman. And he had his own crew. And he went over there and he made arrangements with some of the men on the crew that I was on to go visit her house. She lived with her dad, and they were down to their last bit of food. And we went into town to try to find her place. He told us how to get there, and we walked through the town, and we missed it on the way in. And we went into town and walked around a little bit, and then went up on a hill where there was some anti-aircraft guns that broke down. We poked around those a bit and found some big shells. I pounded on the shell trying to get the bullet part of it off, and it wouldn't come off. But one of the guys told me quit pounding on it, and I go off. So I quit. But anyway, walking back, and we came back another way, and we walked about a mile or a mile and a half over the mountain, over the top of the mountain. And when we come off the mountain, only one trail we could find it. He came right through the backyard of the house, and we were I was going past the back door. I just walked past the door, and this girl, Inga, stepped out and said, "Pardon me, but you wouldn't happen to be CPS men, would you?" I was shocked for speaking English at a pretty big age. And I called out to the other men that had gone by. There were 6 or 8 of them in the group. I called them back, and she invited us to come up. Her dad lived in this upstairs of his old house, out to pull down. But they were cooking their last pot of beans on the stove, and they were going to head after their supper and everything yet. And luckily, we had found it, and Frank called, can't say his name now, Ralph Belcher. Ralph, not Belcher, Ralph. Anyway, called him back, and they brought him food, and that's all the slide there. He told us that he had gone down to get some food from the ships. He was going down to get some food from the ship, and the morning after the big bomber, and he took his cart and hooked it to his donkey, and as he went down the road by the body laying in the road, so he stopped and got out and moved it off to the side and went on past. And he hadn't gone but half a block or so, and there was another body in the road, so he got out and moved in. And after that, the bodies were so thick and cemented that if he stopped to move them out of the road, he'd never been there, so he just drove the cart right over the bodies. The wheel would go over the top of the bodies. And he said it was a terrible thing to do, but he had to get food or they'd starve to death. Anyway,
Well, thank you so much for participating, for coming. We've got a few things yet to wrap up. One of the questions that someone shared with me is, what is the challenge going to be for us as Mennonites in the event of another war? Would we be conscientious objectors? Have we kept to the peace position? And I think that's a very good question that deserves some further thought and discussion. As we close the day, we want to close with a song, but we also want to take a time to allow you to participate in the work of the society. We're going to take an offering. For those of you perhaps that didn't come to the meal and pay that way, maybe you'll feel led to support the work of the society through an offering. So we're going to do that, and while we're doing that, we're going to sing a closing song. And Earl Kenagy wants to let you know that he has a book available. What's the title of it?
My 90 years.
His 90 years. So if you're interested in it, stop by and see him. A few.
Last year I was 90 and my daughters and my wife gave me... Last year I was 90 and my daughters and my wife gave me a lot of motivational guidance, otherwise known as nagging. To get this book written, my 90 years, most of my teenage years was during World War II, and on June 10th, 1945, I turned 18. The war had ended in Europe the month before. August 14th, the Benton County Draft Board sent a bus load us to Portland for physicals. On the way home that evening, Salem was celebrating, the war was over. Anyway, I charged $20 for this book, and I decided I'm going to give all that $20 to this society.
Great.
Thank you very much.
And before we get to the song, let's give a round of applause to our participants and the board for leading. And I'm sure if you have more questions, they'd be glad to talk with you following the meeting. So we're going to sing a closing song. During that time, we'll take the offering. When you leave, there's centerpieces that were on the table are available for anyone who wants them. They're out in the lobby, so if you'd like one, stop by and pick it up. And the society office facilities will be open also across the parking lot if you want to stop by and take a look if you've never been there. Thank you.
Please turn to number 414. 414. And I have you stand if you think you can still pass the basket while you're standing. Verse 3.